What if everything we know about the universe is just one version of an infinite number of possibilities? Imagine that every decision you make, no matter how small, spawns a new version of you, living in a different reality. In one world, you might have chosen a different career path, while in another, you could be living in a completely different part of the world. This is the core idea behind the concept of the multiverse, a theory that suggests that our universe is not the only one that exists. The multiverse theory proposes that our universe, with its specific set of physical laws and dimensions, is merely one among countless others, each existing in parallel. These universes may differ in their basic structure, where the laws of physics could operate in completely different ways. While this idea might seem like something out of science fiction, it arises from several areas of theoretical physics, including quantum mechanics and cosmology, which challenge our understanding of the universe and even the very nature of reality itself. At its core, the multiverse theory invites us to think about the cosmos not as a single, isolated reality, but as part of a much larger, interconnected web of existence. Each universe may follow its own path, independent of the others, but they all exist within a grander framework. Some interpretations even suggest that these universes may be connected in ways we can't yet perceive, opening up a realm of possibilities that are beyond our current comprehension. But what does this mean for us as individuals? If there are infinite universes, then it raises profound questions about free will, fate, and our existence. Could there be a version of you living out your life exactly as you are now, but with a single, tiny change? Or perhaps, in another universe, you made an entirely different choice, leading you down a different path altogether. These possibilities challenge the notion of a single, unchanging reality, urging us to reconsider how we view ourselves and our place in the universe. As we begin to explore the vast, mind-bending implications of the multiverse, we will delve deeper into one of its most intriguing aspects, the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics. This concept takes us a step closer to understanding how the multiverse might work at the quantum level and how it could influence our perception of reality. Imagine a coin toss, heads or tails. It seems like a simple decision, a 50-50 chance. But what if, instead of just one outcome, both possibilities happen at the same time? Each outcome would occur in its own separate world, creating two distinct realities where one version of you sees heads and another sees tails. This idea forms the heart of the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics, proposed by physicist Hugh Everett in the 1950s. According to the many worlds interpretation, every time a quantum event occurs, such as a particle being in two places at once, or a seemingly random event taking place, each possible outcome happens in a separate, parallel universe. This means that the universe constantly splits, creating a new world for every potential result. For example, if you were faced with a decision, say, whether to take a new job or stay where you are, the theory suggests that both choices occur simultaneously, but in different universes. One version of you takes the job, while another stays in their current position. This concept challenges our traditional understanding of reality, where we tend to think of the universe as a singular, unchanging entity. Instead, it presents a view of the universe as a constantly branching tree, with each decision or random event leading to the formation of new branches, new realities. These realities are just as real as the one we inhabit, but they exist separately in their own isolated worlds. The implications of the many worlds interpretation are profound. If every choice creates a new universe, this raises significant questions about free will and fate. Could every decision you make have already been made in a different universe? Does this mean that your choices are predetermined? Or does it imply that every possibility exists in some form, somewhere in the multiverse? If we live in a world where all possibilities are realized, then is our sense of control just an illusion? Are we the sum of the choices we make? Or is there another version of us who took a different path? With the mind-bending implications of the many worlds theory in place, it's time to take the next step in our exploration of the multiverse. Let's now dive into the concept of cosmic inflation and how it ties into the broader idea of infinite universes, each with its own set of possibilities. What if our universe isn't the only one? What if, far beyond the reaches of our perception, there are countless other universes, each expanding and evolving in its own unique way? This concept is at the heart of the theory of cosmic inflation, a groundbreaking idea that reshapes our understanding of the cosmos. Rather than seeing our universe as a singular, isolated entity, inflation theory suggests that it may be just one bubble in an ever-expanding multiverse. Cosmic inflation theory, developed in the 1980s by physicist Alan Guth, proposes that in the moments immediately following the Big Bang, the universe expanded at an extraordinary exponential rate. This expansion was so rapid that it caused space-time itself to stretch far beyond what we can currently observe, effectively creating the vast universe we inhabit today. However, inflation doesn't stop with our universe. According to some interpretations, this process could be continuing indefinitely, with new bubbles of space-time popping into existence all the time, each one forming a new universe. In this model, our universe would be just one of countless others, each born from its own Big Bang-like event, but with potentially different laws of physics and varying characteristics. Some universes could have different constants of nature, such as the strength of gravity or the nature of time, while others might follow completely unknown principles. These bubbles, or universes, could exist in a multiverse, an eternal and ever-expanding ocean of universes, where each one is a separate reality with its own distinct properties. The implications of this theory are staggering. If our universe is just one bubble among infinite others, it forces us to reconsider our place in the cosmos. Is the existence of life on Earth merely a product of luck, a fleeting occurrence in a vast sea of worlds? Or is there something special about the specific conditions of our universe that allowed life to arise? If universes can form with different laws and constants, what does it mean for the uniqueness of our own existence? Are we simply one possibility among an infinite number of potential realities? Or is there something inherently significant about the universe we occupy? With the idea of infinite universes now in mind, let's shift our focus to a more mysterious concept, the potential for parallel universes that we might someday be able to interact with. Could these universes be accessible, or are they forever beyond our reach? Let's explore this idea further. What if, within the very fabric of space-time, there exist hidden dimensions, unseen by the naked eye, that could house entire alternate realities? What if the universe we perceive with our senses is only a tiny sliver of a much larger, more complex structure, containing universes beyond our comprehension? This is the tantalizing possibility raised by string theory, which suggests that the universe may be far more intricate and multidimensional than we ever imagined. At its core, string theory proposes that the fundamental building blocks of the universe are not particles, as we traditionally thought, but tiny, vibrating strings of energy. These strings exist on a scale far smaller than anything we can detect with current technology, and their vibrations determine the properties of matter, such as mass and charge. String theory is an ambitious attempt to unify the fundamental forces of nature, including gravity, electromagnetism, and nuclear forces, into one overarching framework. But one of the most intriguing implications of string theory is the suggestion that our universe might not be confined to the three spatial dimensions we experience in daily life. In fact, some versions of string theory propose the existence of additional spatial dimensions beyond the familiar three dimensions of length, width, and height. These extra dimensions could be compacted into minuscule, curled-up spaces that are too small for us to detect. Yet, if these hidden dimensions exist, they could potentially harbour entire parallel universes, each with its own distinct set of physical laws and properties. If such dimensions exist, it opens the possibility that parallel universes that operate according to their own rules, could be connected to our own. These universes might be close in proximity, but exist in a different dimension that we cannot access. Imagine that with the right understanding of physics or technology, it could become possible to cross over into one of these alternate realities. What if, in another dimension, there's a version of you living a completely different life, shaped by different choices or circumstances? This idea stretches the limits of our understanding of space and time. If multiple dimensions exist and parallel universes are connected to ours, what would it be like to meet our counterparts in these alternate worlds? Could we communicate with them, or are they forever unreachable? These questions challenge the very fabric of reality, pushing us to reconsider the boundaries of what is possible. As we delve deeper into the nature of parallel universes, we must also confront more profound philosophical questions. What if the reality we perceive is not the only one? And what if there are countless others existing just beyond our reach? To answer these questions, let's now turn to an even more mind-bending theory, the simulation hypothesis. Could our universe be a sophisticated simulation created by an advanced intelligence? Let's explore this idea next. Could our universe be nothing more than a computer simulation? What if everything we perceive, the stars in the sky, the ground beneath our feet, even our thoughts and actions, is artificially constructed by a higher intelligence? This concept, known as the simulation hypothesis, invites us to reconsider the very nature of reality. What if everything we know is part of an elaborate, sophisticated program running on a supercomputer? The simulation hypothesis was popularized by philosopher Nick Bostrom in the early 2000s. According to Bostrom, it is conceivable that highly advanced civilizations, far beyond our current technological capabilities, could develop the means to simulate entire universes. These simulated worlds would be indistinguishable from our own, with their inhabitants unaware that they are part of a constructed reality. Our entire experience of the universe, then, could be the result of an immensely complex simulation created by a civilization far more advanced than we can imagine. In this scenario, everything we experience, every moment, every object, every person, exists only within the confines of the simulation. Our physical world, the laws of nature, and even our perception of time could be nothing more than lines of code, designed to create the illusion of a stable, consistent reality. From this perspective, our understanding of the universe might be a mere illusion, a carefully crafted facade maintained by an unseen operator or a super-intelligent being. If we are indeed living in a simulation, it raises profound questions about the nature of existence itself. Are we truly conscious, or are we simply advanced algorithms running within the confines of a digital landscape? What does it mean to be real? If our entire existence is just part of a program, and if we are living in a simulation, is there a way to break free from it? or to alter the parameters of the simulation? Could we, perhaps, create our own simulated worlds, as the creators of our simulation might have done? The simulation hypothesis presents a radical challenge to the way we think about reality. It raises existential questions about the nature of consciousness, the limits of free will, and the true meaning of our experiences. But if our universe is indeed a simulation, does it matter? Would it change how we live our lives, or would we simply continue on, unaware of the program that runs beneath our feet? Having considered the mind-bending implications of the simulation hypothesis, let's now return to a more grounded concept in cosmology, the idea of the observable universe. What lies beyond the limits of what we can observe? And how does this tie into the larger idea of the multiverse? Let's explore this next. How far does our universe really extend? For all our technological advancements, how much of the vast cosmos have we truly observed? What if the universe stretches far beyond the limits of our current instruments, and what we see is only a tiny fraction of what actually exists? This question challenges our understanding of space and the very structure of the cosmos. The observable universe is the part of the universe that we can detect with our telescopes and other instruments, defined by the distance that light has travelled since the Big Bang. Because light travels at a finite speed, there's a limit to how far we can see. The farther away an object is, the longer it takes for light to reach us, meaning that when we observe distant galaxies, we're actually looking into the past. Currently, the observable universe extends about 93 billion light-years in all directions. But this is only what we can observe with the tools at our disposal. However, the universe itself might extend far beyond what we can see. The concept of cosmic inflation, which theorizes that the universe underwent an exponential expansion in the first moments after the Big Bang, suggests that the universe is far larger than the observable portion. In fact, the part of the universe we can see may just be a small bubble in a much larger cosmic structure. According to this theory, cosmic inflation could have created countless other regions of space, many of which might be completely outside our observational reach. This means there could be entire galaxies, star systems, and even universes that exist beyond the limits of what our telescopes can detect. If the observable universe is just a tiny part of a much larger cosmic structure, what does this mean for our place in the cosmos? Are we truly alone in this vast expanse? Or is it possible that there are other forms of life beyond our detection range? Could there be intelligent civilizations out there, billions of light years away, existing in a reality completely unknown to us? The potential scale of the universe raises profound questions about the nature of space and the possibility of life beyond our reach. Now that we've explored the limitations of our observable universe, let's turn our attention to the idea of fine-tuning in the multiverse, where different universes could have vastly different laws of physics. How do these variations impact the possibility of life? And how does this relate to our understanding of the cosmos? Let's dive into this concept next. What if the conditions of our universe are perfectly suited for life, but it's all just a coincidence? Or could the remarkable suitability of our universe for life be the result of a grander, more purposeful cosmic design? This question lies at the heart of the anthropic principle, a concept that attempts to explain the apparent fine-tuning of the universe. The anthropic principle suggests that the universe's physical constants, such as the strength of gravity, the charge of the electron, or the expansion rate of space, are remarkably well suited for life. If these constants were even slightly different, life as we know it would be impossible. For example, if gravity were much stronger, stars would burn out too quickly to allow for life to form. If it were weaker, stars might not even form at all. The precise nature of these constants has led some to wonder whether the universe is designed in such a way that life is inevitable, or if we simply happen to exist in a universe where the conditions were just right. The anthropic principle can be interpreted in two ways. On one hand, it can be seen as evidence of a purposeful design, with the universe crafted specifically to support life. Some proponents of this view argue that the remarkable alignment of physical constants points to the existence of a creator or a guiding intelligence, shaping the cosmos with intention and precision. On the other hand, some cosmologists interpret the fine-tuning as support for the multiverse hypothesis. In this view, there is not just one universe, but many, each with its own set of physical constants. In such a multiverse, we happen to find ourselves in a universe where the conditions are conducive to life. But in other universes, the constants may be vastly different, and life, at least as we know it, may not exist at all. If the fine-tuning of the universe is the result of a multiverse, then our existence might be a happy accident in the vast expanse of possible realities. Each universe in the multiverse could have a different combination of physical constants, some of which might allow life, while others might be inhospitable to any form of existence. This raises the question of whether our universe is truly special, or if we are just one instance of an endless variety of cosmic configurations. As we consider the implications of a multiverse with different conditions, let's now turn to the idea of multiverse collisions. What happens when universes within the multiverse come into contact with one another? And could this have significant consequences for the structure of reality itself? Let's explore this next. Could universes collide with one another, altering the very fabric of reality? What would happen if two universes within the multiverse came into contact, merging in a dramatic clash that reshapes everything we know about space, time, and existence? This concept might sound like something out of science fiction, but some theories suggest that collisions between universes could indeed have profound consequences, not only for the universes involved, but for the entire structure of the multiverse itself. The idea of multiverse collisions arises from certain interpretations of the multiverse theory, particularly in the context of cosmic inflation. According to these theories, the multiverse is not just a collection of separate, isolated universes, but rather a dynamic, ever-expanding system in which universes could be in close proximity to one another. When universes in the multiverse come close enough, they might collide, creating ripples across space-time that could have dramatic effects. The result of such a collision could vary depending on the specifics of the universes involved, but some possibilities include the creation of entirely new universes, the alteration of fundamental physical constants, or even the destruction of both universes as they merge. One fascinating implication of multiverse collisions is the possibility that the Big Bang, the event that created our universe, could have been the result of such a collision. In this scenario, the expansion of our universe might have been triggered by the interaction of two or more universes colliding at high speed, sending out shockwaves that spark the rapid inflation and expansion we associate with the birth of the cosmos. If this is true, it raises the question, are we the product of a cosmic collision? And could the future of our universe be shaped by further encounters with other universes? The possibility of multiverse collisions also challenges our understanding of the nature of reality itself. If our universe is just one of many, could it be that we are merely a part of an even larger, more complex system? Perhaps, as universes collide and merge, new structures of reality emerge, larger cosmic superstructures that transcend individual universes and offer entirely new possibilities for existence. This idea shifts our perception of the multiverse, from a collection of separate entities to a dynamic, interconnected web of realities, each influencing the others in ways we can scarcely imagine. With the concept of universe collisions raising so many questions about the nature of existence, let's now turn to the idea of the bubble multiverse theory, which proposes that universes might be like separate bubbles within an infinite cosmic foam. What are the implications of such a model, and how might it affect our understanding of the cosmos? Let's explore this next. Picture the universe as a giant soap bubble, floating in an infinite sea of other bubbles. Each bubble represents a separate universe, unique in its characteristics and governed by its own set of rules. In this image, each bubble exists in parallel with countless others, forming an intricate, ever-expanding web of realities that stretches far beyond what we can observe. This is the core idea behind the bubble multiverse theory, which suggests that our universe is just one of many, each with its own space-time fabric and physical laws. The bubble multiverse theory stems from the concept of cosmic inflation, which posits that the universe underwent a rapid expansion in the moments following the Big Bang. According to this theory, inflation didn't stop with our universe. Instead, it continues indefinitely, creating new bubbles of space-time as it goes. Each bubble represents a new universe, and these universes can have different laws of physics, varied histories, and entirely different possibilities for the emergence of life. Some bubbles could harbour universes where the conditions for life as we know it are impossible, while others might offer a world strikingly similar to ours. One of the most intriguing implications of the bubble multiverse theory is the idea that universes could interact with one another. If these universes are truly like separate bubbles, what happens when two of them come into contact? Could their respective physical laws merge or shift, creating new realities or even new laws of physics? Alternatively, would the universes simply continue on their separate trajectories, unaffected by one another, as if they were floating in an ocean of infinite space? These questions remain unanswered, but they open up exciting possibilities for the behavior of universes within the multiverse. Another compelling aspect of the bubble multiverse theory is the question of detection. If we live in one bubble, how could we ever know if other bubbles exist? Could there be traces of other universes that somehow bleed through into our own? Or are we truly isolated in our own reality, unaware of the infinite number of universes surrounding us? Some theories suggest that if universes are close enough, there might be ways for their influence to seep into our own, perhaps leaving behind clues in the form of unusual cosmic phenomena or inexplicable events. As we contemplate the existence of bubble universes, let's now shift our focus to another fascinating idea within the multiverse: alternate timelines. How do these timelines fit into the broader concept of the multiverse? And what does their existence mean for our understanding of reality? Let's explore this next. What if time wasn't a straight line, moving forward from past to present to future, but instead existed as a vast network of branching paths, each representing a different version of reality? Imagine that every significant decision, every moment of change, causes time to split, creating an alternate timeline that exists alongside our own. In this view, time is not a singular, unidirectional flow, but rather a complex web of intersecting possibilities, with countless timelines unfolding simultaneously, each representing a different version of events. The concept of alternate timelines is rooted in the idea that each significant event or decision creates a branch in the flow of time, giving rise to a parallel version of reality. For example, imagine a moment when you faced a choice. perhaps deciding whether to take a job offer or stay in your current position. In one timeline, you might have taken the job, and in another, you stayed where you were. Both timelines would continue to evolve from that decision, with each version of you experiencing a different set of circumstances, but both existing in parallel, as real as the one we perceive. This concept suggests that history has not unfolded in a singular way, but rather that multiple versions of history are happening simultaneously, with different realities playing out at the same time. The implications of alternate timelines are profound. If every choice, no matter how small, can create a new branch in the timeline, then the potential for alternate realities is virtually limitless. Could it be that every decision we make leads to the creation of an entirely new version of ourselves, living out a different life in a different timeline? What happens when these timelines intersect, when events in one timeline affect another? Could it be possible to jump from one timeline to another, experiencing a different version of events or a different path in life? And if such jumps were possible, what might that mean for the concept of free will, fate, and personal identity? As we reflect on the possibility of alternate timelines, we are faced with the tantalizing question of how our decisions shape not only our own lives, but the very fabric of reality itself. Could we truly be the architects of our own existence, creating new timelines with every choice we make? Or is there a larger, more mysterious force at work, guiding the flow of time and determining which paths we take? Having explored the fascinating idea of alternate timelines, let's now turn to a more fantastical concept: mirror universes, where everything is the same as our universe, but reversed. What could these parallel worlds look like? And what would it be like to encounter a version of ourselves in such a universe? Let's explore this next. Imagine a universe where everything is the same as ours, but with one crucial difference. Everything is reversed. What would it be like to live in a mirror universe, where not only the objects and events are the opposite, but even the fundamental laws of nature are turned on their head? This concept, though speculative, offers a mind-bending view of alternate realities and challenges our understanding of the very nature of existence. Mirror universes, sometimes referred to as anti-universes, are based on the idea that there could be an alternate version of our universe where every aspect of it is reversed in some way. This could include the direction of time, the behavior of physical forces, and even the development of life. In a mirror universe, time might flow backward, with events unfolding in reverse order, or gravity could work in the opposite direction, causing objects to repel instead of attract. The laws of physics could behave entirely differently, making the experience of existence itself radically altered. Some theories in quantum mechanics and particle physics suggest that these mirror or anti-universes might exist, with opposite physical conditions and properties. The implications of mirror universes are both fascinating and perplexing. If we could somehow observe or even visit a mirror universe, what would we find? Could we encounter mirror versions of ourselves? Beings that look identical but behave in entirely different ways, shaped by a reverse set of circumstances. Would we be perceived as the mirrored version of these beings, with our actions and choices seemingly out of sync with theirs? If so, how would interactions between these mirrored versions of reality work? Could there be a form of communication or understanding between two universes so fundamentally different, yet so eerily similar? The concept of mirror universes also raises profound questions about the nature of symmetry and order in the cosmos. If mirror universes exist, what does it say about the inherent balance of nature? Could the entire structure of our reality be the result of an invisible, symmetrical pattern that we are only beginning to understand? And if these universes are truly reflections of our own, what does that mean for our place in the larger multiverse? Are we simply one version of an infinite number of possible realities, all reflecting one another in an endless cosmic mirror? With the idea of mirror universes challenging our understanding of symmetry, let's now consider an even more radical concept: universes where the very fabric of time itself operates differently. Could time loops exist within the multiverse, altering the very flow of events? Let's explore this next. What if time wasn't linear at all? What if the sequence of past, present, and future didn't move forward in a single, irreversible direction? Imagine instead that we lived in a universe where everything repeats, like an infinite loop, cycling through the same events, decisions, and experiences over and over again. This concept, while difficult to grasp, has fascinated philosophers and scientists alike for centuries, and it challenges our fundamental understanding of time and existence itself. The idea of time loops suggests that time is not a straightforward progression from one moment to the next, but rather a cyclical pattern in which events, once completed, inevitably return to their starting points and repeat in an endless cycle. This view of time can be traced back to ancient philosophies, but it gained renewed attention through the concept of eternal return, most famously discussed by the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche. Nietzsche's idea of eternal return proposes that the universe, in its entirety, undergoes a repetition of the same sequence of events. Every individual, every moment, every action recurs in exactly the same way, infinitely, without end. The implications of this idea stretch beyond just the theoretical and touch upon the very nature of our existence. If time were indeed cyclical, what would it mean for our lives? Would every decision we make, every choice, simply be an iteration in an endless loop? The concept of eternal return forces us to confront the possibility that nothing we do can ever truly change the course of our existence. If every moment we experience is destined to recur exactly as it did before, then free will, our ability to make choices independent of predestination, becomes a much more complicated question. Are we free to choose? Or are we merely repeating the same actions in an endless cycle with no true escape? The idea of eternal return also challenges our understanding of meaning and purpose. If our lives are destined to repeat indefinitely, does this make our existence less significant? Or does it give every action an even greater weight? Nietzsche, in his exploration of the eternal return, posed a profound question. If we were to relive our lives over and over again, would we embrace the idea, or would we despair? This thought experiment invites us to reflect on how we live and what we truly value in our fleeting moments. Now that we've pondered the possibility of eternal returns, let's delve into another strange and intriguing idea: the concept of a holographic universe. Could our reality be an illusion projected onto a two-dimensional surface, creating the three-dimensional world we perceive? Let's explore this possibility next. Could our universe be nothing more than a projection, like a hologram, with all of reality appearing as a three-dimensional illusion? What if everything we see, touch, and experience is not truly real in the way we believe, but is instead a sophisticated projection, an image created by an underlying, hidden structure? This concept is the foundation of the holographic universe theory, a mind-bending idea that challenges our fundamental understanding of reality. The holographic universe theory suggests that the three-dimensional world we experience is not the true nature of the cosmos, but rather a projection of information encoded on a distant two-dimensional surface. This theory proposes that our entire universe, including space, time, and everything in it, could be a hologram, with the full depth and complexity of existence arising from simple two-dimensional data. The idea stems from research in theoretical physics, particularly in the study of black holes and the nature of information in the universe. According to this perspective, the universe might not be the solid space we perceive, but a complex illusion created by the interaction of information at the quantum level. If this theory is correct, it would radically alter our understanding of reality. Our experience of a three-dimensional world, complete with depth, volume, and the passage of time, could all be an elaborate trick of perception. Just as a hologram projects a three-dimensional image from a flat surface, the universe we live in could be a projection of two-dimensional information encoded at a cosmic level. This would mean that space and time, as we experience them, may not be the fundamental aspects of existence, but rather emergent properties arising from a deeper, more fundamental level of reality. If the universe is indeed a hologram, it raises profound questions about the nature of existence and our place in the cosmos. Are we living in a simulated experience where everything we perceive is an illusion created by the mind? How would this affect our understanding of consciousness and self-awareness? If our perception of reality is a projection, is there a way to break through to a deeper, more fundamental understanding of existence? Could we, in theory, look behind the curtain and perceive the true nature of the universe? Having explored the holographic nature of our reality, let's now turn to a more fascinating possibility: the existence of higher dimensional beings who might exist beyond our perception. Could these beings interact with our universe? And if so, what would that mean for our understanding of space, time, and the multiverse? Let's explore this next. What if there are creatures or intelligences that exist beyond the three dimensions of space and time that we can perceive? What if there are entire forms of life or entities living in higher dimensional spaces far beyond our comprehension? These beings would operate in dimensions we cannot even imagine, and their existence might challenge the very nature of reality as we understand it. In the realm of higher dimensional spaces, the basic rules of space and time as we know them may not apply. While we are accustomed to navigating through three spatial dimensions, length, width, and height, these higher dimensional beings could exist in dimensions beyond our sensory experience. Just as a two-dimensional being would have no concept of the third dimension, we may be unable to comprehend what life in a higher dimensional space would be like. These beings could have access to entirely different realities, perceiving multiple dimensions of space and time at once. What they see, interact with, or experience might be completely unfathomable to us, making it impossible for our limited perception to fully grasp their existence. The implications of higher dimensional beings are both intriguing and unsettling. Could these beings have the ability to influence our world, manipulating the very fabric of space and time in ways we can't detect? Perhaps some of the strange phenomena we encounter, like UFOs or other unexplained events, could be attributed to interactions with higher dimensional beings. These entities might be able to slip in and out of our three-dimensional world, moving through dimensions we cannot access. They could operate in ways that defy our understanding of physics and reality, giving rise to experiences that appear supernatural or impossible. This would suggest that what we perceive as miracles or otherworldly events might actually be the result of interactions with these higher dimensional intelligences. However, the question remains, could we ever perceive these higher dimensional beings? Given that we are limited to three dimensions, it seems unlikely that we would ever directly encounter such entities. If they exist in dimensions beyond our reach, are they forever hidden from our reality? Could we, as limited beings, ever develop the means to sense their presence or understand their actions, or would they remain an enigma, forever beyond our grasp? As we consider the possibility of beings beyond our perception, let's take a step further into the unknown and explore the tantalizing idea of time travel. Could time, like space, be malleable? And if so, could we too travel through it? Let's explore this next. Could it be possible to travel backward or forward in time? What if our journey through time wasn't confined to a single unchanging timeline, but instead was part of an endless array of possibilities, each unfolding in parallel universes? Time travel has fascinated philosophers, scientists, and storytellers for centuries, often blurring the lines between science fiction and theoretical physics. The concept suggests that we could not only revisit the past or glimpse into the future, but might even journey between alternate versions of reality, navigating through the vast multiverse. Theories about time travel, particularly when combined with the idea of the multiverse, suggest that traveling through time might involve more than just moving through our own timeline. In this framework, every significant event, decision, or change in the course of history could spawn an entirely new timeline, effectively creating a parallel universe where different versions of reality coexist. So, when we think about time travel, we're not just considering a simple linear journey through past or future events. We might also be crossing into alternate timelines, where the rules and outcomes of history are vastly different from our own. For example, in one version of reality, a certain historical event might have unfolded differently, leading to an alternate present. The theory suggests that time travel could involve moving between these different parallel universes, exploring the endless possibilities created by every decision and event. The implications of this concept are vast and profound. If time travel is possible, it raises the question, could we alter the course of history? If we had the power to travel into the past, could we change the outcomes of pivotal moments? And what would the consequences be? Would the timeline adjust to accommodate these changes? Or would the very fabric of reality begin to unravel? More unsettling is the idea of interacting with other versions of ourselves, versions of us who made different choices or experienced alternate versions of life. What would happen if we met our own counterparts from another timeline? Could we influence each other's worlds? Or would the very act of interaction cause irreparable disruptions? Furthermore, time travel within the context of the multiverse introduces an array of dangers. If the boundaries between parallel universes are not as stable as we believe, even minor interventions could have catastrophic consequences, not just for one timeline, but for the entire multiverse. These risks present challenges for anyone attempting to navigate time, as the consequences of their actions might ripple outward in unpredictable and potentially dangerous ways. Having explored the mind-bending possibilities of time travel, let's now take a deeper dive into the concept of cosmic consciousness. Could the multiverse hold the key to a greater universal mind, one that transcends individual realities? Let's explore this intriguing idea next. What if the entire multiverse was connected by a vast universal consciousness? What if everything in existence, from the smallest particle to the grandest galaxy, shared a collective awareness, bound together by an underlying cosmic mind? This idea of cosmic consciousness suggests that all beings, across all timelines and realities, might be interconnected by a higher, unified consciousness that transcends the boundaries of time, space, and individual existence. Rather than viewing the multiverse as a collection of isolated universes, cosmic consciousness offers the possibility that every universe within the multiverse is part of a larger, interconnected web of awareness, with each individual universe contributing to the overall experience of the cosmos. Cosmic consciousness proposes that everything in existence, every living being, every event, every atom, is linked through a collective, universal awareness. This consciousness could be far beyond our current comprehension, transcending the physical limitations of our own universe. If the multiverse is real, it could be seen as a manifestation of this greater consciousness, with each universe within it representing a different possibility or expression of this vast cosmic mind. Just as a single cell is part of a greater organism, each universe might be a piece of a larger cosmic puzzle, contributing to the experience of the multiverse as a whole. This idea has profound implications for our understanding of existence. If the multiverse is a way for the universe to experience itself, then the seemingly random and chaotic nature of reality might have a deeper, more purposeful meaning. Each choice, each event, and each timeline could be part of a greater exploration of consciousness, where every possibility is explored and every potential outcome is realized. If we are part of this greater cosmic awareness, what does it mean for our individual sense of self? Are we merely fragments of a larger, universal mind, or do we possess true autonomy within this grand scheme? Understanding the nature of the multiverse and its connection to cosmic consciousness offer a path to deeper enlightenment. By realizing that we are part of a greater, interconnected whole, we could come to understand our place in the cosmos more profoundly. Could this realization lead to a sense of unity and peace, knowing that our actions are part of a larger, universal experience? Could it shift our perspective on life, making us see our existence not as isolated, but as part of an eternal flow of consciousness? Having explored the idea of cosmic consciousness and its potential link to the multiverse, let's now turn our attention to a more concrete concept: the possibility of other life forms existing in alternate universes. What does the potential existence of life beyond our own universe mean for our understanding of life, consciousness, and the nature of existence? Let's dive into this idea next. Are we truly alone in the multiverse? Could life exist in parallel universes, evolving in ways so vastly different from our own that we can hardly begin to imagine? The concept of the multiverse, with its endless array of alternate realities, opens up the tantalizing possibility that life may not be confined to our universe alone. If the multiverse theory holds, and if it contains an infinite number of universes, the emergence of life in some form in those universes becomes almost certain. In a multiverse with countless universes, the variety of conditions in which life could arise would be almost limitless. In some universes, life might evolve in ways similar to what we experience here, under the same physical laws and biological processes. Yet, in other universes, the conditions could be so vastly different that life may take forms we can't even begin to comprehend. The basic building blocks of life as we understand them might not even apply in some universes. Instead, alternative forms of life might arise, governed by entirely different sets of physical laws or biochemical processes. Imagine a universe where life doesn't rely on carbon or oxygen, or one where the concept of consciousness is entirely different from what we know. The possibilities are not limited to biological life as we understand it, but extend to entirely alien forms of existence that might operate in ways we can barely conceive. The implications of encountering life from another universe are staggering. What would it be like to meet beings that evolved in such a radically different environment? Would we even recognize them as life forms? Could we communicate with them? Or would the very nature of our existence be so incompatible with theirs that interaction would be impossible, even if these beings shared some basic similarities with us. How could we ever truly understand their worldview, shaped by an entirely different set of physical laws and experiences? The challenge would be not just in understanding their biology, but in deciphering their consciousness, their form of existence, and perhaps even their method of communication. Moreover, what if some of these parallel universes contained life that is vastly more advanced than our own? Could they possess technology or knowledge that could help us solve our greatest mysteries? Or could they be so far beyond us that we wouldn't even recognize the nature of their existence? The notion of life in the multiverse invites us to reconsider everything we know about biology, intelligence, and consciousness itself. After contemplating the potential for life in alternate universes, let's now turn to another fascinating question. How might these universes form and operate under different physical laws? And what does that mean for the possibility of life in such environments? Let's explore the concept of alternate physics in the next segment. Could the laws of physics be different in other universes? What if the fundamental forces that govern our reality, such as gravity, time, and light, behaved in completely different ways in alternate universes? The idea that the multiverse may contain universes with distinct physical laws is one of the most intriguing and perplexing aspects of the theory. This concept challenges the notion that the laws of physics are universal, suggesting that each universe in the multiverse could operate under a unique set of rules, leading to radically different forms of existence. In some versions of the multiverse theory, the physical constants that define our universe could be vastly different in other realities. For example, gravity could be much stronger or weaker, drastically affecting how planets, stars, and even life forms are formed and sustained. Light might travel at different speeds, altering how we perceive the universe and how energy interacts with matter. Time, too, could behave differently, perhaps moving at varying rates depending on the universe's conditions, or even functioning in ways that are entirely beyond our current understanding. These differences would not only change how the universe operates, but could also give rise to entirely new forms of existence, with different biochemical processes, structures, and even physical properties. The implications of alternate laws of physics are profound. If universes with different physical rules exist, what would life look like in such environments? How would creatures evolve in a universe where the very building blocks of matter and energy were different from our own? Could civilizations in these universes have developed intelligence and technology in ways we cannot even begin to fathom? If gravity were weaker, for instance, would organisms evolve in forms completely unlike anything we recognize? Perhaps floating or drifting through space instead of walking on solid ground. If light behaved differently, might beings rely on other forms of energy or perception, completely alien to our senses? The challenge in understanding such universes is not just in theorizing how life could exist under different conditions, but also in detecting these universes. How would we know if they were out there? Could there be ways to observe or even interact with these universes? Or are they so completely separate from ours that they exist beyond the reach of any potential detection? Could travel between universes with differing laws of physics ever be possible? Or would such differences create insurmountable barriers that prevent any kind of interaction? Now that we've explored the fascinating possibility of alternate laws of physics, let's turn our attention to an even more mind-bending idea: the potential for infinite versions of ourselves across the multiverse. What would it mean for our identity if there were countless alternate versions of us living out different lives in different realities? Let's dive into this next. What if there were infinite versions of you living out different lives in countless parallel universes? What if every decision you made, no matter how small, created a new version of yourself in an alternate reality. The concept of infinite versions of ourselves existing across the vast multiverse forces us to confront the profound possibility that the choices we make in our lives could not only shape our own destinies, but also spawn countless parallel versions of us, each living a unique life defined by different choices and circumstances. If the multiverse is indeed infinite, then for every possible decision, every fork in the road, there exists a universe where you chose differently. Imagine the scale of possibilities, a universe where you decided to pursue a different career, another where you moved to a different city, or one where you made entirely different decisions in your personal life. Each of these versions of you would lead their own unique life, with their own set of experiences, relationships, and outcomes. The sheer number of alternate realities, where each version of yourself follows a different path, would be mind-boggling. For every what-if in your life, there could be a universe where that choice played out in a completely different way. But if these alternate versions of ourselves exist, what does it mean for our sense of identity? Are they still us? Or do they become entirely different people, living separate lives in separate worlds? Could we ever communicate with these versions of ourselves? Or would they remain isolated in their own realities, unable to connect with us? The idea of meeting an alternate version of ourselves raises even more unsettling questions. Would we recognize them as us, or would they feel like strangers, shaped by different experiences, environments, and choices? How would we interact with them, knowing that they are not us in the strictest sense, but rather a different expression of the same individual? This notion of infinite versions of ourselves forces us to think about the nature of identity and existence in a way we've never had to before. If so many versions of us exist across the multiverse, then who are we, really? Are we the sum of our choices, or is there a deeper, more fundamental us that transcends the various versions that live in parallel universes? As we approach the end of our exploration through the multiverse, let's turn our attention to the most mysterious question of all. What is the true nature of reality itself? Let's dive into this final inquiry as we seek to understand the larger picture that ties everything together. What is the true nature of reality? Is what we see, hear, and feel just one layer of a much deeper, more complex universe? As we navigate through the ideas of the multiverse, we are compelled to ask these fundamental questions about the nature of existence itself. Is the reality we experience with our senses the whole truth, or is it merely a limited perspective, a surface-level view of a far more intricate, layered universe? The multiverse, with its vast and infinite possibilities, challenges everything we think we know about the world around us and our place within it. Throughout this journey, we've explored how the multiverse stretches our understanding of reality. It forces us to reconsider space, time, and even the very concept of existence. What if the world we perceive is only a small fraction of a larger, more complex web of realities? What if the rules of our universe, the physical constants that govern it, are not as absolute as we've always believed? The multiverse theory suggests that there are countless universes, each with its own unique set of laws, timelines, and possibilities. Our universe may just be one small corner of an ever-expanding cosmic landscape. The nature of reality, as we understand it, may be far more fluid, expansive, and malleable than we ever imagined, stretching beyond our physical senses and into realms we cannot yet comprehend. If reality is as fluid and expansive as the multiverse suggests, what does this mean for us as individuals? Are we merely actors in a grand cosmic experiment, living out the choices of countless possibilities? Or are we the creators of our own reality, shaping our lives through the decisions we make? The multiverse, with its infinite versions of existence, presents both a humbling and empowering idea. It suggests that our reality may be just one of many potential outcomes, and that we have the power to influence, or at least navigate the path we take within it. Yet, at the same time, it reminds us of the immense complexity and unpredictability of the universe, and how little we truly understand about the forces at work behind the scenes. As we close our exploration of the multiverse and its implications, take a moment to reflect on these ideas. What does the multiverse mean for you? Is it a comforting thought to know that infinite possibilities exist? Or does it spark a sense of uncertainty about the nature of existence? Perhaps, as you drift into sleep, you'll dream of parallel worlds, alternate versions of yourself, and the infinite possibilities that lie ahead. Whatever the case may be, the journey to understand the true nature of reality is a path worth taking, one that could lead to deeper knowledge, greater wisdom, and a more profound connection to the universe and our place within it.